Nicole, the what should he have known question is the most problematic for the president, because when you start scratching that surface and you bring up the facts, you understand that we lost our CDC representative in Beijing just a couple of months before the outbreak of the case. You understand that when he starts pointing to China as that scapegoat he's so desperate to find, we understand that there were reports to the State Department from our own embassy in Beijing that problems were occurring in the Wuhan lab. We understand when he points to the WHO, the World Health Organization, as the cause of all of this for failing to warn him. We learn what? U.S. citizens, officials stationed at the World Health Organization were sending warning flags to Washington, right? So what are we seeing now? We're seeing a desperate search for a scapegoat, and we're seeing a president, as he ramps up toward an election and his poll numbers are down, is going to be increasingly desperate to find that scapegoat. But every time he points at one, it points right back at his administration that either can't message him correctly, his own economic advisors, his own intelligence community, all giving him memos, briefs, emails that we've got a threat coming at us, and he's not heeding the warning. So where is this going? If you're in law enforcement or your intelligence or domestic security, here's what I'm hearing, Nicole, from my law enforcement contacts. There's increasing concern about these protests that are spreading like a virus across the country, protesting public health measures, because we're seeing militia groups, we're seeing long guns, we're seeing Nazi symbols, we're seeing funding coming from where? Trump-associated donors, Koch brothers, Betsy DeVos, and that foundation. And so we're seeing a anti-science, anti-public health protest movement that actually is increasing exposure of law enforcement, and it puts law enforcement and mayors and governors in a trick bag, Nicole, because now they're forced to either take measures against protests that violate public health and safety, or they're accused of looking like anti-liberty, anti-free speech, anti-assembly. It's a magic potion that could get us to violence very, very quickly. I'm very concerned that we're entering the most volatile period of this president's administration.
And from you, that's saying something. You brought me to where I wanted to get you on the record, but let me just end with a two-part question for you. One, it strikes me that at any protest over any issue, the people who encounter or deal with the protesters in many instances for their own safety are law enforcement officials. So are you worried about this concentration of people not wearing masks in most instances coming face-to-face with law enforcement? And two, you started to talk about it, but if I could just pull the thread a little harder on what intersections you see with these, liberty protesters and other groups that have been agitated, that have made headlines during the 3 years of the Trump presidency.
So first, the law enforcement and paramedic and EMT issue, if you're going out and thinking about protesting, I want you to think about this. If you don't care about infecting yourself, understand that your police, your fire and rescue have better things to do than to babysit you because you're angry that you can't go out for an ice cream or get your hair done. So think about who you're exposing. Secondly, where this is all headed, the president has linked this stay-at-home issue to the Second Amendment. Remember that tweet in Virginia? Liberate Virginia. Your Second Amendment is under siege. That's going to motivate the crazies amongst us to do some very ugly things, and law enforcement's got to hunker down for that.